Welcome to Life in LA, a look at people and places in Lower Arkansas, our LA. Lower Arkansas is made up of the 15 southernmost counties in the state. Join us each week as we talk to some of the people who make this part of the world such an interesting place to live. And now, let's join Life in LA with our host, Steve Ford.
Well, we here in Lower Arkansas will be witnesses of a great spectacle that's coming up on April the 8th. And of course, you've no doubt heard someone talking about the solar eclipse. Today, we're visiting with a resident of Lower Arkansas who traveled the last time there was one nearby. I'm glad to welcome to our program today, John Harden.
Good to be here, Steve. Thank
you. Great. John, I've known you a long time, and I think friends with you and your family and your in-laws also.
That's right.
I always love when Milo and Deb are here. It's always fun to see them around. But you took your whole family to see the last solar eclipse, isn't that right?
We did. Again, I'm John Harden. I'm married to Grace. We've got 4 kids, Ella, Mitchell, Audrey, and Hannah.
Ella, Mitchell, Audrey, and Hannah. I always have to stop and work through those. You may have to also.
So we took 3 of the 4 kids. Hannah wasn't born yet.
Oh, so, yeah. I'm gonna, if it's okay, I'm gonna share that photo.
Sure.
Wearing the solar glasses and all of that.
Absolutely.
And so where did you all go to see?
So we traveled. We left. That event was also on a Monday, just by chance.
Mm-hmm.
And we left Magnolia on Sunday. We drove to the Nashville, Tennessee area and chose a spot at a community park in Lebanon, Tennessee, which is a suburb of Nashville.
Were there a lot of people there?
It was pretty good crowd there. Yeah, we were one of the first to arrive. We got there pretty early in the morning. We just kind of tailgated.
What time was that eclipse? Did it
start? It was right about 1 o'clock. I believe.
So it's very similar to this one. You and I just talked about the fact that I'm going to ask you to describe the indescribable.
Okay.
But what was it like?
So, I mean, certainly that was the first one I'd experienced.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd read a lot online about how it was must see. So there was some anticipation. It's one of those you really don't know what you're going to see. But a lot of certainly as the hours and the minutes tick closer, you're getting more excited about what's about to happen. You can certainly sense the surroundings changing, the lights getting dimmer.
Well, it starts dimming.
Mm-hmm. It's just the shadows are cast a little different, so you can tell something's happening. It's
Could you see the moon as it was approaching the sun?
So with the solar eclipse glasses, you can.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot. Of course, you're not supposed to look at the sun without the solar eclipse glasses.
Right.
But for that brief period of totality when it is totally covered,
you can
remove the glasses at that point.
Yeah.
You have to remove the glasses to see what you're going to see.
Mm-hmm. But by then it is like pitch black. Is that right?
Not pitch black. It's
dark,
more like a twilight.
Oh.
Yeah, kind of that, where the planets and maybe a bright star or two are starting to appear. It never gets totally dark. That's actually one of the big misconceptions about what you're going to see.
Well, yeah, I'd read somewhere that the birds go to roost and animals bed down for the night.
They do that. I mean, the crickets and the frogs come to life. The nighttime routine starts up because again, it's twilight. It is noticeably darker, but it is not pitch blackness. That's a little bit.
So the moon, I'm trying to think, moves in front of the sun.
It does,
and at least from our viewing perspective, and you get to see the sun's corona.
That's right? And that is the main event.
The Ring of Fire, is that what it's called?
The Ring of Fire is actually the annular eclipse. That's a little bit different. That's a fancy partial eclipse.
Mm-hmm.
This would be they call it totality.
Totality.
Yeah. So.
But can you see the
corona?
The corona?
Absolutely. That is why you need to travel to the zone of 100%.
Wow.
Because even 1%, even 0.1% of sunlight is very bright.
Mm-hmm.
You ask, can you see the moon going in front of the sun with your eyes? No, because you wouldn't want to look at it. It can do eye damage. But even if you forced it, like I'm going to damage my eyes, I'm just going to look at it. You can't see the sun eclipsed with your eyes. Just a little bit of sunlight just overwhelms everything.
And nobody needs to attempt that.
Don't attempt that.
Don't attempt.
But I'm trying to tell you, even if you attempted it, you can't see it. So,
Uh-huh.
But you can with the glasses. If you have the safety eclipse glasses, you can see the the sun started.
And you all
shoot
had
up.
your eclipse glasses.
We did.
Where'd you get yours?
Amazon.
Amazon. That's where does everybody get anything like that? There were several places that were giving them out here in town and locally. And if I would guess if you don't have a pair by now, it's going to be hard to find a pair. I ordered a filter for my camera and for my iPhone camera.
Okay, good.
And maybe I can. But I read somewhere too that unless you're a professional photographer, don't waste your time trying to take a picture.
Even if you're a professional photographer, if that's your interest, take some pictures. Recognize, I don't care if you're the most professional photographer on planet Earth, you cannot duplicate the image.
Oh, yeah.
There's no way to capture what you're going to see. It's not going to look anything remotely the same, because whatever you zoom in on and get in focus, the rest of the picture is not. It's just not it's not an event you can.
I'm
really
toying
capture.
with the idea. Well, I'm going to take my drone and try to I can't take a picture of the sun with a drone because I can't point up with it. But can you see the shadow approaching? That was, say, from 100 or 200 feet.
From a drone, maybe you could, I suspect, but it's coming so fast.
I read it was like
1,700
miles an hour. That the shadow was moving really fast. You wouldn't want to get hit by the shadow.
Oh,
well, okay, it's not going to hit you. So you had some tips then for viewing.
I did. I've got a few tips I'll give you. One, it's a deeply spiritual experience. So if you're planning to go deeply spiritual, some passages that will never read the same after you experience this. Psalm 19:1, the heavens declare the glory of God, and the expanse proclaims the works of his hands. In Genesis 1:3, then God said, let there be light, and there was light. These passages will never read the same. I've heard, almost like when people say, hey, I've made a trip to the Holy Land, and it's spiritually moving. Well, why is it? It's not the land. It's nothing magical about that. It's just what happened here, and how that will move you. The Holy Land will take you back to the times of Jesus or the times of the Bible. This event will take you to creation.
Oh, really?
It is like, let there be light.
And there was light.
It is pouring out from this dark hole in the sky. It is incredible.
Man, you're a man of faith, so it's good to hear that. You've been to the Holy Land, haven't you?
I've been to Jordan. I've flown over Israel. Never been in Israel, but flown over, seen some of the sights from the air.
Yeah.
Some work travels to Jordan.
Well, we'll have to keep those verses in mind as we prepare. What other suggestions would you have for somebody who wants to?
The other suggestions: get there early. Don't try to. Well, the eclipse is at 1:45, so I'm going to get there about 1:30.
Yeah.
Traffic could be heavy. I'm planning to. We'll be out there early in the morning. We'll just tailgate, picnic.
I'm seeing where some places that are in the right on the totality are like renting out parking places.
Oh yeah,
and things like that.
Make a day of it.
Yeah.
Don't risk getting caught up in the traffic and missing it.
And that's another thing that no one knows for certain is what's the traffic going to be like that day.
We don't know because there's not like with a sporting event, you kind of know how many tickets got sold. With a concert, how many tickets got. You kind of know what in general to expect, but these events are so rare.
There's no tickets for the eclipse.
There's not a sign-up sheet. So is there 10,000 people, 100,000 people, or 1 million people pouring in?
One thing interesting is that the eclipse will be very close to the I-30 route.
That's right.
From, say, Texarkana to Little Rock.
Yep.
Makes you wonder. I read somewhere where they said, be sure and turn your headlights on during the eclipse. I guess you would need them, and probably don't be pulling over on the interstate to watch it.
Be off the interstate.
Be off of the interstate.
Because you do want to stop and see this.
Yeah. Now, I have looked at the 10-day weather forecast for Arkansas, and that the 8th is still just a little out of range for comfort, knowing what the weather's going to be like. What do you recommend about the weather conditions?
So what you need to do is look for the best conditions close enough to where you're willing to drive. So it's not just rain that you're worried about; it's clouds. Because as I've described, some of the effects you will see anywhere. If it's cloudy, it's still going to get pretty dark and twilighty. But what you really need to see is the corona, and that is the main event. That's what's so phenomenal about this spectacle. And you gotta you got to have a spot in the sky that.
So if it's raining in Little Rock that morning, you might want to head towards Dallas.
Exactly.
Or
So
look for the forecast and see where it's going to be clear.
Honestly, if it's bad enough, and I think it's very unlikely, you know, it'll be cloudy everywhere within 4 to 4 hours. But if that was the forecast, I'd probably drive somewhere Sunday afternoon and get to southern Illinois if that's where we had to get.
Yeah, you'd have plenty of time to get there.
That's right.
I guess.
But watch the weather, and again, it's 10 days out. Really, it's not going to be till late next week.
Yeah.
So it really starts to kind of converge on what's really going to happen. But obviously, hey, sunny is the best. I think the forecast we had in Lebanon, Tennessee, was mostly sunny. So
were there any clouds or cloud cover that day?
Infrequent. I mean, it was something I kind of kept my eye on. Is it gonna botch up? I was kind of watching the clouds in the sky. Well, how long does it take from this cloud to get here? 30 minutes before, do we need to move 5 minutes down the road? So we were.
Now, how old were your kids at the time?
So Ella was kindergarten. This would have been 2017. Mitchell would have been, I guess, 2 years behind her, and then Audrey would have been a baby.
I know kids are not always impressed by what adults want to see. I know we took our kids to see the Eiffel Tower one time, and they were like, "It's just a tower."
Yeah.
But what was your kids' reaction?
So Ella was really the only one who, as a kindergartner, really had any kind of sense of scale. And I've asked her in recent days. She doesn't remember. She remembers the park we went to. She kind of remembers it getting dark. She doesn't remember that much about it. So I'm excited for them.
Get a chance to revisit it then.
Experience it at a new age.
Any word of wisdom then for parents with children?
So safety is very important. Obviously, we're in the eclipse classes at any point during the partial eclipse. Honestly, the most dangerous parts of the eclipse, and there's a misconception that like I said, you can go out there and look at it and you'll be tempted to look. Even 99% covered, that 1% of sunlight, you still have the same natural reaction. I can't look at this. I need to look away. So that reaction and instinct is still there. So, in that respect, you don't worry about kids. Honestly, the most dangerous time of the eclipse is about the 3 to 5 seconds before it goes to totality, and the 3 to 5 seconds after,
when it bursts forth again.
Because there's a flicker where you may look at it for a little bit too long. So just coach your kids, wear the glasses, and, as a parent, I'm going to be prepared the second it's over, heads down, glasses over, and then, within 3 seconds, it's honestly back to normal. It's dim, but it's not something.
There are some other ways you can, a pinhole camera, to let a pin and let the light of the sun hit the pavement. Or I saw pictures where people used a colander. It's got all those tiny holes in it, so you've got myriad solar eclipses to look at. Or you can get on the internet and find safer ways where you're not looking directly at it.
But for anybody I don't trust the glasses, I don't understand the pinhole cameras, totality does not require any of that. What I'm describing is you get to see it with your own eyes. It is totally safe. Only when it's 100% totality, when it's covered. But all the other stuff is neat and fun, but what I'm describing that's so impactful and so phenomenal, it's you and your eyes. You get to see it.
Yeah, protect those eyes and don't miss it. Don't jump in the car, because I've heard people say, well, we can see it in Magnolia, can't we?
You cannot. That is honestly one of the biggest misconceptions out there is Magnolia is going to get a 99% eclipse. Was that 99% as good as what they're going to see in 100%? Is it?
There's no comparison.
It is. This is all or nothing. You see totality or you don't. And that's the good thing for Magnolia is you're close enough to where totality is very accessible.
Just a short drive away.
But it's tempting to say, well, hey, isn't it good enough? Can't I just continue on with my work day and go outside? And for somebody who does that, unfortunately, for the people who see it, they're going to be talking about how great it was. And you're going to be like, what was the big deal?
Big deal. Yeah.
I didn't experience anything.
Yeah. So if we miss this time, is there another one? Do you have the calendar?
Yeah, they occur about every year and a half somewhere on planet Earth. Oftentimes it's just out in the middle of the ocean, which is very inaccessible.
Right.
I think the next big one in the U.S. is the year 2045. So you got to wait.
I probably won't see that one.
You're going to have to wait a good ways unless you're wanting to travel. But there's a big one in Australia, I think, in 2028.
Mm-hmm.
Iceland's got one 2026. So they
You're an engineer. I toyed with whether I was going to throw this question out at you, but what do the people that believe the earth is flat? Well, what do the flat earthers make of this?
I'm not one of them. So I don't,
you can't speak for the lunatic fringe.
I can't speak for the flat earthers. I think it'd be difficult to.
How do you hang on to your belief when you see the moon orbit in front of the sun like that? Okay. Well, John, I appreciate it. I'd read your Facebook post some time back, and you just expressed your amazement and your awe at it, and I thought it'd be fun to sit down and ask you some questions.
One other thing I wanted I can't describe it, what totality is like, but I'll do my best. I've done this to people as I've tried to convince them to visit. What you'll see, it's the darkest hole in the sky where the sun used to be, pitch black. The moon is covering it, total blackness there. And one of the misconceptions I had years ago was, well, you're not going to see the sun. That's what's so exciting about this event. It's 100% the opposite. You're going to get to see the sun, the solar corona, as you described. And the best way to describe it is if you think about, the Twin Towers, that tribute to light they do. They get that laser beam where the Twin Towers used to be in that area, and they shoot them up into the sky, this real intense, powerful beam. It's like that coming out of the dark hole in the sky, but it's more intense, it's more brilliant light. And it's not two of them, it's 200,000 of them.
Wow.
And you see every one, and it just explodes out over the sky for millions of miles out into the solar system. It's a light that doesn't exist, on this earth. You don't see it. It's brilliant. It's unique. It's got almost a whitish, bluish tint. Most brilliant light you've ever seen. It's 200,000 beams just shooting into the solar system millions of miles. That's the best I can do, but even that's pretty good. Even that doesn't do it justice. It is, my wife was a little bit of a skeptic when we went back in 2017. She was a good sport. She didn't put up too much of a fuss, but I could tell there was a little bit of we're driving 8 hours to turn 80% into 100%. And I said, Grace, I just read online. This is something you should see. So we kind of packed in. So she was probably willing participant, but a little bit of a skeptic. The event brought her to shed a couple tears. I mean, it is that magnificent of an event. It blows your brain away. It doesn't seem real. Doesn't seem possible. But it is something everyone should see.
Well, I'm excited about that. I think maybe for those folks who listen to the podcast, we'll convince some of them they need to move further to the west to be able to.
Move west or move north, but you've got to get into the region of 100%.
Yeah.
And make sure you follow the weather, because if the weather's better a couple hours down the road,
you may need to move a little.
You may need to move. It is worth it. I drove 8 hours to see it the last time. That's probably the extent I would have done it in 2017, but knowing what I know now, I'd have driven 2 days for it. It is that much of a must see. It's incredible.
Now we just got to wait for the days to tick by, don't we? It's like waiting for Christmas.
I'm so excited. Milo and Deb, who you mentioned earlier, they actually met us in Nashville the last time, so we got to see it with them. But I've got some college friends coming to town. My parents are coming, so I'm excited for them, for my friends we have in Arkansas now. Excited for the whole state to be able to.
Yeah, we don't have to drive too far.
Yeah,
an hour, maybe hour and a half to find a good spot. Wherever that is. All right, John, I appreciate you taking time out of it's Good Friday here where we're recording. Appreciate you taking time to meet with me and share some of your experiences.
Happy to do it.
Thanks for listening to Life in LA. Feel free to contact us at steveford@gmail.com if you have a suggestion for a future topic. And as always, tell others about this podcast and share it on your favorite social media. You've been listening to Life in LA, a production of Steve Ford Photography.